2001, Malawi was dying. The skies refused to rain. The sun burned the soil into dust. Crops failed. Wells dried. Children cried themselves to sleep from hunger. In a tiny village called Masitala, a boy named William Kamkwamba watched his family wither with the land. He was just 14 years old, but he saw more than most adults around him. He saw his father's calloused hands digging through dead maize. He saw his mother boil empty pots, trying to trick the stomach with steam. He saw his country, his future, collapse before his eyes. But in the silence of that famine, William made a decision. If no one was going to save them, he would. William was a bright student, curious, always asking questions. But famine doesn't care about potential. When his family couldn't pay the $80 school fee, he was forced to drop out. No school, no internet, no electricity. But William didn't stop learning. Every day, he walked miles to the local library, a tiny room with worn-out books donated from abroad. There, he discovered a dusty old textbook, Using Energy, a science book written for 6th graders in another country. It had one picture that changed everything: a windmill. Underneath, the caption read, "A windmill can be used to generate electricity and pump water." Electricity, water. Could this strange machine be the answer to his dying village? William had never seen a real windmill, but he decided to build one. With no money and no parts, he did the unthinkable. He went scavenging through trash. Every day, he walked to the junkyard. He dug through rusted bicycle frames, plastic fan blades, old radios, tractor parts, and busted pipes. He was mocked. Villagers laughed. There goes the madman collecting garbage again. Even his own mother began to worry. Had the drought broken her son's mind? But William was building something in his head. He knew what he was looking for: a frame, a rotor, a tower, wires. He couldn't speak English fluently. He couldn't explain what he was doing. But in his heart, he could already see the blades turning. With parts tied together, using nails, bottle caps, rubber sandals, and wooden planks, William began building a 16-foot tower. He dug holes for the base, mounted a bicycle dynamo to spin. He built the rotor from melted PVC pipes, carved by hand with a knife. Every step was trial and error. The tower shook in the wind. The wires snapped. The blades spun too fast. And yet, after weeks of failures, cuts, bruises, and silent frustration, one morning, as the breeze returned to Masitala, the windmill began to turn. The blades spun. The shaft rotated. The dynamo hummed. A small light bulb flickered on in his hut. William Kamkwamba had generated electricity from trash. The boy who was mocked as crazy suddenly had the brightest house in the village. Neighbors who once laughed now came to watch the blades spin. William began powering a radio. then a small water pump. Then he wired up more homes. Reporters showed up. Radio stations told his story. Eventually, a Malawi news article reached the desks of engineers in South Africa, and then America. One day, William got a call. "You're invited to speak at TED Global in Tanzania." He had never left his village. He had never seen an airport. He had never spoken English publicly. But now, he was flying to share the stage with the world's most brilliant minds. On stage at TED, William stood nervously behind the podium. He wore a second-hand suit. His heart raced. He looked out at hundreds of faces, scientists, inventors, founders. He took a deep breath and said, "I try, and I made it." The crowd rose, a standing ovation. That 6-minute speech changed everything. Donors offered scholarships. Universities offered admissions. He was later accepted into Dartmouth College. His story became a global symbol of innovation, grit, and hope. Netflix later turned it into a movie, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. But William didn't just take the success and leave. He returned to Malawi. He built more windmills, started solar projects, launched education programs to teach kids science, engineering, and sustainability. He wasn't just an innovator now. He was a teacher, a builder, a mentor. His nonprofit helped bring clean water, lighting, and solar internet to dozens of villages. And it all started with a library book and a dream made from junk. Today, William Kamkwamba is an author, an engineer, and a global speaker. But more importantly, he is a symbol, a reminder that brilliance isn't born in billion-dollar labs. It can be born in a broken hut, in hunger, in desperation. His windmill didn't just generate power, it generated hope. And for millions of kids like him across the world, that spark may be enough. What's stopping you right now? Is it money? Doubt? Lack of tools? William Kamkwamba had none of those things, but he had vision. He believed solutions start with belief, not resources. If a 14-year-old with no English, no computer, and no funding can power a village, what can you do with what you have? Subscribe to EntreTech for more stories like this, raw, real, and powerful. Your journey doesn't need permission. It just needs a start. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button. At EntreTech, we don't just tell startup stories. We uncover the hidden builders changing the world. One like, one subscribe,